what's up everyone? Today we're going to be going over what's more important when going through your start, your ability to turn your legs over fast or being able to pick up more distance per step, and we're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab. Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. All right, so I think this is a really important topic, something that I've been talking a lot about with people in comments from different platforms as well as on different videos, because just from a range of different videos I've made in the past, there comes up different concepts about when it comes to when you're first starting, what is more important. Generally, what I say is the ability to really get your legs to turn over quickly is really the main part of the start, to be able to really build a great turnover. And then from there, you can continue to open up that stride and therefore be able to pick up more distance per step. In general, we're going to be seeing your fastest leg cycles, which is going to be the time of when your foot comes off the ground to when the foot comes back on the ground in your first 3 steps. So as you get going, you're going to be having a longer leg cycle. So with that being said, we do want to be quick with our leg cycle undoubtedly, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we want to really limit our ability to really pick up distance per step, as I feel like one of the best predictors for running a fast time, especially when it comes to running a fast 40-yard dasher or a fast 60-meter, comes down to how well are you able to really pick up distance in those first few steps. So what we have here, we have Christian Coleman. Christian Coleman actually ran, I think, the fastest 40 ever, which is a 4:12. And if we look to see his first few steps and why I think it's important to be able to, or the most important thing that I think you want to be able to really consider when it comes to your start is how well are you able to get your legs up and through? How well are you able to get your knees up and through? And so we can see with Coleman here, first 4 steps, he really does a great job of being able to pick up good distance. We talk a lot about we want to get those first 4 steps in 5 yards. Right? And so in general, what I would say, if you're somebody that is maybe a younger quarterback looking to be able to improve their 40-yard dash, or somebody that wants to improve your block start, things like that, what you want to be able to first understand is being able to have a fast turnover and fast foot contact time is priority number 1. Really being able to understand how to be able to create that horizontal force into the ground that makes it so you have that fast foot contact time. And what I mean by that is when your foot hits the ground, we need to be seeing the back of the foot facing straight back. You want to have a lot of your weight underneath you, and we also want to be able to maintain a lot of your weight going forward. So you don't want to end up really having your heels back. You don't want to end up with your foot landing out in front of you. You also don't want to land or end up landing with your foot too far back onto the foot, like into the middle or heel, especially in those first few steps. You can maybe get away with it the longer that you go. But an important thing that comes into the start, and why I think that, like for the 40-yard dash, why it's a great test and a great tool to be able to really understand the type of athlete that you're getting, is it really challenges the range of motion through that low back and really forces you to be able to get strong and be strong through your hip flexors, be able to get your knees up and through and have good range of motion through those hip flexors. So once you can start building that up and getting better with that, that will make a big difference when it comes to being able to really generate good force in the ground. So the more we can get the knees up and through, the more that we get the feet up and through, then the better force we're going to be able to get into the ground, which is the important part of being able to accelerate. First, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to understand how to generate force in the ground, having the bottom of your foot facing back, being able to create that horizontal force, or having this really strong shin angle here, 35-degree shin angle or lower is a good place to be able to aim. And the reason that ends up being priority number 1 is because if you end up putting too much of a focus on the ability to just run quickly, right, and being able to get your legs to cycle fast, but are spending too much time on the ground, then you're not going to be able to really get the distance, you're not going to build the habits, and you're really not going to be as quick as you think when it comes to your first few steps. So the idea wants to definitely be, we want to build fast turnover, we want to get the legs moving quickly, right? But we're not going to be building a lot of speed or getting the legs moving fast if we are spending too much time on the ground, right? So we got to be able to be very effective with our foot contact time, and really that's throughout the time of sprinting. You don't want to ever be wasting precious time with your feet on the ground. Okay, so first understanding how to generate force in the ground, and understanding that the coordination between your arms and your feet is a key determiner when it comes to how well you're able to get off the ground. So when your foot's striking the ground, we should be very quick at being able to get the leg through and getting into that end range of motion within the shoulder, so then we could transition off the foot well. Okay, and another way to be able to also relate to that or understand that is that when your foot hits the ground, we want to be immediately thinking about getting our heel up, so then we can get that foot off the ground. If we're not doing a good enough job of being able to contact the ground and quickly absorb that force into the ground and then be able to very effectively and efficiently transition off, we're gonna end up spending a lot more time on the ground than we really should. Now we could start building more distance per step. What ends up being, I think, 2 effective things that will help you in being able to get your more distance per step. What we talked about is being able to get the knees through, toes up, right? What we're doing within our front side mechanics essentially. Right, toes up, knees through, really being able to maximize the range there. I think that ends up being a big part of how well we're able to pick up distance per step in those first few steps, or how well we're able to get out in those first few steps. And then from there, what ends up being really important is the really first 2 steps, and really it could even be like the first step, but what ends up happening here is this is where we want to have a lot of weight when we're starting. Okay, we have a lot of weight onto that front leg, and then as we're accelerating out, we should be getting a strong push. We should be getting really good extension of the hip and really good extension of the foot as we're going here, so we're picking up ground. And same thing when we land here, we got to be picking up distance with these steps. We got to be thinking horizontal. We got to be thinking forward within these first 2 steps, so then we could really pick up a good amount of distance. Now, once we strike the ground, we want to start thinking a little bit more about fast foot contact time. Those first few steps are going to be a little bit longer in general, especially this first step. This first step is going to end up probably being the longest step. And so what happens is, if we're not doing a good job of being able to use that extra time to be able to come forward, it really ends up being wasted time. So let's make sure really in this first action out of this leg, we're getting horizontal force, and then with this step, we also need to be picking up horizontal force. So those first 2 steps, we got to be getting out to be able to really start to be able to get distance. We can see with him, he's able to 1, 2, 3, 4, he's like close to 6 yards in those 4 steps. Right, he's 6'4", he's a little bit taller. Really, you know, depending on your height, you should really be getting potentially past 5 yards in 4 steps. And again, it's a great way to be able to determine how fast of a 40 you're going to be able to run. Like, he looks like he's running so effortlessly as he's going. Again, he's like 6'4", he's tall, but runs 4.47. Right? Very effortlessly runs a 4.47. And what's most important there is, for being 6'4", he does a really, really good job of being able to get into his top speed really effectively. Right? Same with Christian Coleman. Christian Coleman does a great job of getting going here, so he has great acceleration, gets into his top speed very early, ends up running the 4.12. When it comes to getting a legit laser time, I don't think there's anybody that's ever gotten a sub 4.1 or gotten a 4.12. So if there has, let me know. I'd love to be able to see the video, love to be able to get that information. But, you know, there's been obviously videos and you know, people that have claimed to be able to do less than 4.1, but I haven't seen any real evidence for that being a legit 4.1. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and leave those in the comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're always producing content just like this, just to be able to help you out in understanding the keys to running faster and really understanding the nuances within sprinting. I love to be able to really look deep into sprinting mechanics, and most importantly, the parts of sprinting mechanics that are not typically talked about. I started this channel about 5 or 6 years ago, and when I first started, the main thing that I really saw as an opportunity was the fact that there's just nobody really creating content that was going as deep into the how behind getting faster, you know, how to run faster, how to get faster, how to be able to run as effectively as possible. And so that's why I created this channel, was to really be able to go in depth into some of those big concepts that I think are going to be important as time continues to go on. I mean, I'm starting to work much more with soccer, much more with football, baseball. Everybody, their speed is continuing to show its value in a wide range of different sports, as well as obviously track and field. So much about speed and the technique and how you want to be able to run faster. And that's really what we get into here, is a very in-depth analysis into your sprinting mechanics and how it will help you in being able to more effectively run. So again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, check out the description down below for more of our programs, and we'll talk to you soon.